Welcome to Millennium Daily News. This is Ifat Fatima with top stories. No North Korea missile will be capable of reaching United States, Trump. Donald Trump begs Julian Assange over Russia hacking claim. Obama urges fellow Democrats to fight for Obamacare. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu begs pardon for manslaughter soldier. Trump Secretary of State eyes $180 million payout to cut Exxon ties. Killing of any lawmaker not to be tolerated, Prime Minister. And Bangladesh women to play India in SAF final. Those were the headlines, now the detail. President-elect Donald Trump took to Twitter again to promise North Korea would not develop a nuclear missile capable of reaching U.S. territory. His comments come a day after the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un appeared to try to put pressure on Trump by announcing his country is the final stages of developing an intercontinental ballistic missile. Although Washington has repeatedly vowed that it would never accept North Korea as a nuclear state, Trump has not clearly stated his policy on the isolated Stalinist state previously. The Republican billionaire has already offended President by routinely taking to Twitter since his election last month to lambast critics and issue statements, sometimes about the most serious national security issues, sending analysts scrambling to divine what they may mean for U.S. policy once he takes office on January 20. President-elect Donald Trump has backed WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange in casting doubt on intelligence alleging Russian meddling in the U.S. election. Mr. Assange said Russia was not the source for the site's mass leak of emails from the Democratic Party. Mr. Trump has now backed that view in a tweet. He wrote, Assange said Russians did not give him the info. The president-elect has repeatedly refused to accept the conclusions of the U.S. intelligence community. Several U.S. agencies, including the FBI and the CIA, believe Russia directed hacks against the Democratic Party and the campaign of its presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. U.S. House Republicans scrapped a controversial rules change that would have gutted a congressional ethics office after President-elect Donald Trump rebuked the strategy hours before lawmakers' right to vote on the measure. The amendment was removed from the rules packaged by unanimous consent of the conference, a Republican leadership aide told AFP. Party lawmakers earlier took bold action just before the new Republican-controlled Congress was seated, acting late Monday night and without participation by Democrats, to hobble an independent ethics office which has investigated corruption allegations against members of Congress. President Barack Obama has urged fellow Democrats to fight for his healthcare bill as the incoming Trump team vowed to make a repeal of the law a priority. In a 2-hour private meeting, Mr. Obama sought to rally members of his party as Republicans took their first steps to dismantle his signature bill. Vice President-elect Mike Pence was also at Congress, where he told his party they would replace Obamacare. The law has extended health coverage to an estimated 20 million Americans. 4 people have been arrested in the U.S. city of Chicago over a video live stream on Facebook in which a bound and gagged man was assaulted. The man being assaulted has special needs, police say. His assailants can be heard making derogatory statements against white people and President-elect Donald Trump. In one part of the video, they use a knife to remove part of his skull. Chicago police have described the video as a sickening possible hate crime. It makes you wonder what would make individuals treat someday like that, Chicago Police Superintendent A.D. Johnson said in a press conference streamed on Twitter. Senior diplomat Sir Tim Barrow has been appointed the UK's new ambassador to the EU, replacing Sir Evan Rogers. Downing Street described the former ambassador to Moscow, who will now play a key role in the UK's Brexit talks, as a seasoned and tough negotiator. Sir Ivan's exit, which came earlier than planned, sparked a row with his resignation note criticizing muddled thinking from ministers. Some MPs had accused him of being half-hearted towards Brexit. Critics of the outgoing ambassador were accused of trying to politicize the civil service, with a trade union saying there was a deafening silence from ministers in defending officials' independence. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called for a pardon for a soldier convicted of manslaughter for killing a wounded Palestine. Elor Azaria, 19, at the time shot Abdul Farah al-Sharif, 21, in the head while he was lying immobile on a road. A military court convicted the soldier after dismissing his assertion that the Palestinian still posed a danger. The case has divided Israeli opinion. Azaria, a surgeon, will be sentenced next Sunday, Israel's military says. There have been rallies to support the soldier, but top military figures say his actions do not reflect the values of the Israel Defense Forces. Mr. Netanyahu issued his call on Facebook, writing, "I support giving Elor Azaria a pardon." Viewers, now Millennium News on Bangladesh topic. Former Science and ICT Minister Mustafa Faruk Mohammed died at a hospital in Dhaka. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. He was 74. Mustafa Faruk, also a former ambassador and former Awami League lawmaker from Jashur 2 constituency, breathed his last at United Hospital at about 7:40 p.m., said his cousin Nasimul Habib Shifar. He left behind wife, 2 daughters and a host of relatives and well-wishers to mourn his death. Mustafa Faruk served as the Science and ICT Minister during the previous term of the Awami League government. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said the trail of the killer's Awami League MP Manjurul Islam Litton would surely be held as the murder if any lawmaker or elected public representative can never be tolerated. Killing an elected public representative in such a way can never be allowed, and the trial of the killing will definitely be held on Bangladesh soil. I have already directed the law enforcement agencies to hunt down the killers, she said. The Prime Minister said this in her introductory speech during a video conference with Rangpur Division from her official residence, Ganobhavan. Sheikh Hasina said the aim of her government is to ensure the peace and security of common people. Law Minister Anisul Haq said an initiative will be taken for enacting a law on the formation of the Election Commission if the President gives any directive in this regard. He came up with the information while talking to reporters after inaugurating a training workshop at the Judicial Administration Training Institute in Dhaka. Anisul also said the Law Ministry has agreed with the Election Commission's decision to drop scale from its election symbol list, reports UNB. Replying to a query about the relocation of the International Crimes Tribunal from the old High Court building, he said the government will urge the Supreme Court to reconsider its decision whenever it takes for the ICT relocation. 10 power plants with generation capacity of 1,840 megawatt are expected to be commissioned in 2017, said the top ministry official. To materialize Vision 2021, the government has undertaken realistic initiatives to make the country self-reliant in power production, said Director General of Power Cell under Energy and Mineral Resources Ministry Engineer Mohammad Hussain, reports BSS. He said some 10 power plants, including 8 from the public sector with generation capacity of 1,623 megawatt and 2 private plants with generation capacity of 217 megawatt are expected to be commissioned in 2017. Viewers, now the Millennium Business News. The former Exxon chairman and chief executive chosen by Donald Trump for U.S. Secretary of State will receive $180 million to cut financial ties with the firm. The arrangement will mean Rex Tillerson meets the conflict of interest requirements for the role, Exxon said. The firm said it would cancel the 2 million shares Mr. Tillerson was due to receive as part of its executive pay program and put the equivalent cash into an independently managed trust. Mr. Tillerson left Exxon on 31st December. The UK's stock market started the year in positive mood, closing at a record high on its first day of trade, after closing at a record level of 7,142.83 on the final trading day of 2016. The FTSE 100 rose another 0.5% to close at 7,177.89. No January blues for equity markets as traders in London have returned to their desks in optimistic mood, said Neil Winsell at ETX Capital. The FTSE is still enjoying the momentum from last week's Santa rally. Banks and financial companies were the strongest performers, with stockbroker Hargreaves Lansdown up 5% and the bank Barclays up 3.78%. Eurozone inflation has surged to its highest rate in more than 3 years, driven by increased prices for energy, food, alcohol, and tobacco. The annual inflation rate hit 1.1% last month, according to official statistics agency Eurostat, a sharp jump from November's rate of 0.6%. The rate is the highest since September 2013, when inflation was also 1.1%. The higher than expected increase brings inflation closer to the European Central Bank's target of just below 2%. ECB chief Mario Draghi has said he expects inflation to reach the target by 2018 or 2019. Month-long Tech International Trade Fair begins to showcase the latest products before the local and international buyers. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is expected to inaugurate the DITF 2017. The 22nd DITF 2017 will have all kinds of facilities for the visitors. Commerce Minister Tofail Ahmed told a press conference at the fair secretariat at Sher-e-Bangla Nagar here. Export Promotion Bureau and the Ministry of Commerce and jointly organized the country's biggest trade exposition. President Abdul Hamid and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina issued separate messages greeting the local and overseas producers, buyers, importers, and exporters for participating in the fair. Entry fee has been fixed at Taka 30 for adult and Taka 20 for children. There will be 580 pavilions, mini pavilions, and stalls in the event. An array of products would be displayed in the DITF 2017. Viewers, now Millennium Science and Technology News. Twitter's manager for China, whose appointment just 8 months ago sparked controversy, has announced her resignation but welcomed the growing number of Chinese advertisers, even though the service is blocked by Beijing. Kathy Chen, appointed in April as general manager for the China region comprising mainland China, Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, made the announcement Saturday evening on her own Twitter account. Now that the Twitter APAC team is working directly with Chinese advertisers, which is the right time for me to leave the company, she said. Like other Western platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, Twitter is inaccessible in mainland China, blocked by the communist regime's vast system of internet censorship. Nokia announced it is suing Apple in German and US courts for patent infringement, claiming the US technological giant was using Nokia technology in many products without paying for it. Finnish Nokia, once the world's top mobile phone maker, said the two companies had signed a licensing agreement in 2011, and since then Apple has declined subsequent offers made by Nokia to license other of its patented inventions which are used by many of Apple's products. After several years of negotiations trying to reach agreement to cover Apple's use of these patents, we are now taking action to defend our rights. Ilkka Rahnasto, head of Nokia's patent business, said in a statement. The U.S. Department of Labor said it filed a lawsuit against Alphabet Incorporation's Google unit seeking access to the company's compensation data and documents as part of a routine compliance evaluation. The Office of Federal Contract Compliance Program said it had sought the data about the company's Equal Opportunity Program in September 2015. The company failed to submit despite many opportunities, the OFCCP said. As a federal contractor, Google must agree to permit the federal government to inspect and copy records and information relevant to its compliance with the equal employment laws administered by OFCCP. Ford Motor Company is expanding the use of Amazon.com Incorporation's Alexa personal assistant in its vehicle to follow drivers to talk to their cars, demanding anything from a nearby cheeseburger to a weather forecast, making a leap by the Detroit automaker to incorporate a technology initially targeted for home use. The expanding alliance between Ford and Amazon, announced at the CES Technological Show in Las Vegas, underscores the importance to both automakers and internet commerce companies of connecting consumers on the move to a richer array of digital services. Don Butler, Ford's executive director of connected vehicle and services, told Reuters the technology represented the deepest integration of the OEM inside a vehicle with Alexa. Viewers, now Millennium Sports News. Our French centenarian Robert Marchand made cycling history on the covering 22,528 kilometers in 1 hour on a track near Paris at the age of 105. Marchand has a huge following in France and was cheered on by hundreds of fans as he rode round the velodrome at Saint-Quentin in Valnice, clad in yellow and blue with the number 105 on his back. However, he fell short of his own previous best of 26,927 kilometers in the over 100 category, which he set in 2014 at the age of 102 years old. Bangladesh women's football team will play their first ever final of the SAF Women's Championship against three-time champions and hosts India at Kanchenjunga Stadium in the Indian town of Siliguri. Bangladesh stormed the final, crushing the Maldives by 6-0 goals in the second semi-final at the same venue. India, the champions of the three previous meets, made a final berth, eliminating Nepal by 3-1 goals in the first semi-final on the same day in the afternoon. The Bangladesh team, led by Sabina Khatun, reached the semi-final as unbeaten Group B champions after playing goalless draw with holder and hosts India last Friday following their 6-0 victory over Afghanistan, featuring 5 goals by the skipper Sabina Khatun. Mahendra Singh Dhoni has stepped down as skipper of India's limited over sides, the Board of Control for Cricket in India announced recently. Dhoni, however, will be available for selection for the 3-match one-day international and T20 international series against England starting January 15. Mahendra Singh Dhoni has informed the BCCI that he wishes to step down as the captain of the Indian cricket team from the one-day international and the T20 internationals format of the game, a statement from the board read. Before ending, the headlines are once again. No North Korea missile will be capable of reaching United States, Trump. Donald Trump backs Julian Assange over Russia hacking claim. Obama urges fellow Democrats to fight for Obamacare. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu begs pardon for manslaughter soldier. Trump Secretary of State eyes $180 million payout to cut Exxon ties. Killing of any lawmaker not to be tolerated, Prime Minister. And Bangladesh women to play India in SAF final. This is all for now from Millennium Daily Newsroom. To get any kind of news, please visit to our social website facebook.com/millenniumtvusa and youtube.com/millenniumtvusa. Besides, to get the most updated news, please log into our website www.millenniumtv.net. Stay with Millennium. Allah Hafiz.